Hey everybody, so I woke up today with the crud, but I wanted to get one more video out this week, and so I thought, let me just go record this video real quick. I can then retire to my bed and finish editing and everything and hopefully get this out this afternoon. Wanted to get it out. It's a research video. We're going to be talking about bed sheets. And I wanted to get it out before your weekend of thrifting. Maybe if you hit those estate sales and you check the linen closets and things like that, maybe you'll find something great. So I always preface these videos, or I try to remember to preface these videos with a disclaimer, with the caveat, do your own research. These videos are just starting points. I can't cover every little thing. And a lot of times we're focusing on the higher money type thing. So again, we're never saying go buy all the vintage bed sheets that you see. You still want to do some research and kind of develop that eye of what you think would be popular and would sell well. This is just to start you off and maybe make you think of sections of the thrift store that you're not used to hitting. Now, most thrift stores do have sections like this, full of linens, and they might have comforters and duvet covers and towels and tablecloths and drapes and all sorts of things. Today we're just focusing in on bed sheets, and we're going to focus a little bit more on vintage because that's what we do here, right? Pish Posh Reselling loves Pish Posh Vintage. So when you think about reselling bed sheets, of course there's lots of luxury sheets, more modern, not vintage sheets that sell for really good money if they're made of silk or satin or just have a big name attached. One of the highest selling priced ones in like the thousands is like Gucci silk sheets or something like that. So I would assume by now that if you're coming across high-end name brands in any of these categories that you're going to do your due diligence and look those up and make sure they're authentic and all that. But if we're just kind of talking about maybe some of the more average sheets that you might come across, some of the things that we talk about today might surprise you. One thing I've learned in my research and over the years, I've done some research in like vintage groups on Facebook, like vintage sheet groups. There's places that people buy, sell, trade, those types of store groups, and I always just kind of poke around and see what gets people really excited about, like which patterns, what kind of common theme do people like. Some people prefer vintage sheets. I actually do too. I have most of my pillowcases are just a mishmash of random vintage pillowcases I've picked up. I just like the feel, and I think that's the popularity of older sheets. The newer sheets to me feel cold and like slimy. Like I don't know what the material is in them. But I just like the feeling of the cotton blend or whatever percal type vintage sheets. It just feels better. Anyway, so from researching those, I kind of got an idea of what to look for that's popular. I've had my duds. I've sold some that, you know, were not so great, or I maybe paid up too much for them. But in general, what I've learned, like the larger the sheet size, the better. So king does really well. I'm kind of excited. I'll show you more of these at the end, but like I found this vintage sheet set, and all it is the fitted and the pillowcases. But it's a king size, and it's not like one of the big name brands that I can think that. Oh, it's by Springs. So Springs did a lot of these ones for department stores. So it was made specifically for Mervyn's, but I can put that name Springs in it, and we'll see how those do. Anywho, that was the other thing I was gonna say. These are king, but they're also new old stock, right? So there's a surprising amount of new old stock sheets out there. There's plenty of used. You're gonna want to use discernment about picking those up. If they're not new old stock, you know, you gotta check condition really well and make sure it's one of the desirable patterns or pieces or brands. So what I'm thinking is, you know, you find them in the closets of estate sales and things like that, or at thrift stores. And I don't know, people maybe they just shop the white sales right in January and stock up on sheets because it's a good price and then just never end up using them. So I don't know exactly what happens. But anyway, we're gonna go over to my computer at this point. We're gonna talk about some different categories and brands, and I will be back in a bit, and we'll just look at a few of the ones that I've either listed, need to relist, haven't listed yet, just to kind of let you see some of these things, okay? And we'll talk a little bit more again at the end. Okay, so we're just gonna take a quick look here. Now, when I was researching bed sheets from highest to lowest, one of the top names that came up repeatedly, like conquered like the vintage bed sheet category, was Ralph Lauren. I have sold some Ralph Lauren sheets before. I actually even found some at like TJ Maxx or Marshall's in their clearance section, and actually did really well selling those. So newer Ralph Lauren sheets, older Ralph Lauren sheets. It's just in the bed sheet selling world, Ralph Lauren seems to dominate. So we're just here. We're going to be looking at Ralph Lauren bed sheets. For this, I didn't distinguish vintage or not, but I am sorting highest to lowest to give you an idea of some of the potential. So as you can see, this leopard print set, king size, like we mentioned, like $900 for that. Here's some more really high numbers. This one does say vintage, so you're going to have some of these mixed in vintage and non-vintage. Here's some florals. We see a lot of like new in package, but then this set, Galahad Queen set, pre-owned, still in the hundreds, like $500 or so. Here's another new set. I did have a pre-owned set. Well, let me get back to that. Just remember this little calico type rosebud pattern. Here's some more new old stock. Good prices. This is like a Ralph Lauren. New without tags. Here's another Galahad one that's pre-owned that sells pretty well. Now, I think what I wanted to say is like these, right? When I was first learned about Ralph Lauren sheets, the big florals is what I kept noticing sold for the big money. But as you can see, so as I would scan very briefly the sheet aisle at the thrift store, I'd be looking for these big kind of patterns, right? And just double checking if they were Ralph Lauren or not. But as you can see, some of the other Ralph Lauren patterns, you might not, if they're just hanging loose, pre-owned on the rack or the hanger, you might not peg them straight away as Ralph Lauren. So I thought that was interesting. That was something I learned. Look at this awesome black floral, dark floral. Love that. Anyway, just wanted to give you an idea about these Ralph Lauren sheets. The classic bear, teddy bear. I don't know how the used bear sheets are doing these days, or if it's like a twin size, may not be so great, but stick to the larger sizes and it'll do well. And I mean, honestly, if it's in good shape, it's Ralph Lauren with the teddy bear on it, I'm going to pick it up no matter what. I just had seen somebody recently talk about how long it took them to sell a certain Ralph Lauren bear sheet, and I didn't delve into it a little bit more to see like why they had a hard time selling it. But anyway, that's something that you want to check, feel free. Anyway, more of that Galahad, more florals, leopard prints. So here's just one fitted sheet. It's not even the set, and it's like a tartan or a plaid, $400. Like, I love this. Okay, so what was I going to say? Oh, when I was talking about those big, like cabbage rose type florals, I did come across a set of sheets that were Ralph Lauren that were like that little rosebud calico type thing. And I was like, I don't know how that'll do. But they were pre-owned. I just threw them up and sold them for like $50, the set for $50, because I was like, oh, they're not big florals. But I think they sold even on Poshmark for $50. I'll put like comps up if I still have pictures of, any of the things that I'm talking about. Okay. Yep, here's some more. That was kind of like this style. So maybe I was too low with my $50, but they were listed a little while. And like I said, they were pre-owned. I don't remember what size they were. Maybe we'll see that. But I do remember recently coming across some Ralph Lauren pillowcases that were solid blue, just like a light blue. You might have remembered them in my What Sold video. I think I paid up. I was at my ongoing estate sale and I paid like $7 for these pillowcases, but they sold for like 26 or 28 or something like that. And they were just plain, you know, they didn't have any kind of pattern. Like here's just a yellow set for $300. So keep your eye out for Ralph Lauren sheets. Super exciting. They're just, the quality of these just must be so super great. And people love the patterns, especially if it's a retired pattern. Okay, so when I was doing my research, I came across another name. Fieldcrest, I already knew as being, you know, I've come across Fieldcrest sheets before, and I did not know about this line of sheets in Fieldcrest. It's called Charisma by Fieldcrest. This one's just a woven stripe. Vintage Charisma by Fieldcrest. Charisma. Like some of these are just plain white, and I've avoided some of these older vintage just plain white sheets, so maybe I should not be forgetting them. I mean, I should not be overlooking them. So I'm going to burn that Charisma name into my brain and make sure I go ahead and pick those up if I come across them. As you can see, a lot of them are just very, very subtle. Okay. Next up is Wamsutta. And I just wanted to, we'll talk about some of the other brands a little bit later. But I wanted to just share this one brand, Wamsutta, that I was coming across in some of the higher prices. So $720. I'm not sure that these don't look vintage to me. This looks like Dream Zone, but it's discontinued as it says. So you might want to mark that in your head as far as something to keep an eye out for. Our Goodwill likes to put stuff like this, like there's the rack of hanging sheets, used sheets and everything, and like the new old stock ones just kind of get put on top. So I usually check the top for stuff like this, but I might look at this and be like, it's too new, and I might, you know, not look it up. So I'll have to remedy that. Now I'm going to take away, let's see what happens. Let's take away the word dream and see if we can get, or maybe what I'll do is add the word vintage, because I just wanted to share some of the prices of some vintage Wamsutta sheets that you might come across at estate sales and such, things like that. So this vintage set, now this name, Port Holt, I don't know who that is. I didn't do the research on that. This is a king set as well, but it seemed I saw that name in another higher price listing, so it could be the two things together that are working. Plus, it's a floral. We have this one that's like rainbow stripes. You can definitely see how that would be popular. Here's just a 4-piece king size. Big florals. You kind of get the idea. Some of these bold patterns, bright florals, things like that. Anything kind of very dated looking, nice rainbow set, black rainbow striped. We're in like the $70 range, not maybe the highest priced ones. Wamsutta and Christian Dior. I have sold some Christian Dior pillowcases, I think it was. They were Wamsutta. So a lot of times designers will pair up with some of these older sheet manufacturers. And so you can kind of double check the two names. Yeah, and this one's pre-owned. Pillowcases and a flat sheet, $65. So again, if we're looking things up, you know, check things at the thrift store if you're not positive, because there are plenty of, I've picked up, you know, just like, this is like JCPenney. and I'm having a really hard time selling it. Now, I'm trying to remember. I think it's listed on Ruby Lane. I might have taken it down, but I need to just kind of put it like on eBay or somewhere like that with a bigger audience. I don't think it's necessarily the highest, like most desirable type of sheet. And it's a full size flat sheet. So we'll see how that does. Queen would have been better. King would have been even better. Now there's some of these Wamsutta Wonder Cal or Super Cal sheets that I've noticed that are in like this $50–$60 range. If you look for these little ties around them when they're new. Again, bright colors, full sets. Even that one's only a twin size, but see, we're at like $60 for that full set. Okay, so let's move on to another brand. I came across these in the high priced ones. Restoration Hardware, they have the word vintage in the title, but it's vintage washed. So I just wanted to mention it in case you came across it, because it was right up there with like the Ralph Lauren. It looks like this in a bag when it's new. And it's Restoration Hardware Italian vintage washed. Some of it's linen, like this one is linen. And they were getting some high prices. So I just thought I'd throw that out there along the way in case you came across that. Now, one of the types of sheets that I started out selling way back when, and I know I have a bin when I did my fabric video, I think my character sheets are mixed in with some of my fabric. And so they're in my backlog of things to list. But I have sold some character sheets. I sold some, I remember some Peanuts sheets. I think there was a woman who was making dresses out of vintage character sheets. And that happens a lot with some of these vintage brands and these bright, colorful patterns of florals. People are making dresses, they're making little girl dresses, mommy, daughter dresses, things like that. So that's a lot of times the reason why certain prints are sought after. So I think the woman who was buying mine was making like dresses for little girls. I'm sorry, now my nose is running. And like she was buying them like as soon as I was listing them, like for pretty good prices. So if I have any record of those sales still in my computer, I'll pop up some screenshots. But anyway, so character sheets, nostalgia sells, right? So people love, especially the 80s and 90s were big into character sheets for kids. Now character sheets are going to be most likely in the twin sizes. So this is where that rule about it has to be king or queen to do well. This one is a double or a full. So that one is a pretty good price just for one sheet. But it was all sorts of different types of characters. And not just characters, but maybe themes, right? Also, you want to take a look at, we've got these M&M candy character sheets. This one's just safari animals. And these are not, I don't have these listed highest to lowest. We have some Care Bears, Holly Hobby, Beauty and the Beast. So let's go ahead and switch this to highest to lowest. Gremlins, $170 for the 4-piece set. So a lot of these sealed ones, and I searched vintage character sheets, so I'm sure if we searched each particular, like if we searched Power Ranger sheets or things like that, you could get more results. This is just going to be eBay deciding what are character sheets, especially if the person didn't use that word in their listing. So this is just giving us a kind of an idea of some of the prices on some of these. Now, we're going to talk about that one later in Canon. So Garfield, you know, some people say it's rare. There's some Nintendo Super Mario. Here's some more Peanuts, Care Bears, Stevens Botanical Zoo. Oh, Stevens is the brand. Botanical Zoo, yes. I sold some of those. Okay, let me write that down because I'm going to find my comp on that one because I forgot about that one. Botanical Zoo. That bringing back memories to me. Okay. Let's see. Goosebumps, Miss Piggy, Winnie the Pooh, Vera Neumann, Batman Returns. Vera Neumann wouldn't be a character sheet. We're going to talk more about that later. Okay, Mighty Morphin, Snoopy, Rainbow Bright. Okay, so keep that all in mind. Like I said, this was eBay's, their crazy search results right now. Give you all sorts of things. Next up, I'm just giving you an idea. Some of these you just saw in the list, but I had made these tabs already. But a Seal, Dukes of Hazzard, 165. Rainbow Bright. This one I think has a, well, it's got the ruffle, so I don't know if it has a like comforter with it too. Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Star Wars, always a good popular category. Here's a whole big 5-piece bedding set with the comforter, 179. And just one I thought was interesting, Huckleberry Hound, because kind of random, probably a little bit more obscure that you're going to find one like this. And I think this is just one twin flat bed sheet, and that was in the $200 to $250 range, if I remember correctly. Okay, let's talk about a couple different vintage brands. Martex is one you'll come across. I'm just giving you an idea of, like, I'm not doing highest to lowest, but I'm just kind of showing you that some of the prices are still going to be more average. They're going to be more like 20 to 30 to 40. So it's nice if it's something like super special. And if you can get something for a couple bucks or whatever, it might be worth listing, right? So here's a Flower Power that just got like $37.50. Here's when it's like I said, the more in the set, like the whole, it has flat fitted 2 pillowcases. It's a queen set, $65. So again, people like the feel of older sheets, and they may be more willing. This is a pre-owned set. They just say Pop Art 5-piece, full size. Okay, so Martex is kind of just an average vintage brand. Okay, here's the one I was looking for. Monet Lilies looks like a fairly sought after one. This is a twin size set, sold for $60. I had seen that one earlier. Betsy Clark. So again, Martex. Some of these brands are going to do those character type sheets as well. Nice floral. It doesn't say, full flat sheet, just one sheet, $25. Yeah, so if you just watch your pricing, maybe check the pattern if you can in the store before you look them up. Kermit the Frog, $60. That's awesome. Okay, where are we? What's the next brand we're going to talk about? Dan River. So Dan River, let's go highest to lowest on this. Marimekko and Dan River did a collaborate, or Marimekko used Dan River for selling the bed sheets. I sold a Marimekko something recently, and Dan River. Anyway, I'll have to look that up, what it was exactly. I think it was just one sheet, but as you can see, the prices for that can be really good. Here's some Playboy Bunny sheets. More Marimekko. That's going to be right at the top. Pac-Man's at the top. Here's another Marimekko. Marimekko. Playboy Bunny. Obviously, they and Dan River hung out together. Digimon. Marimekko. Pac-Man. Dan River. Very cottagecore. Very, this particular style. Mine were like that. They were stripes. I don't know. I think it was too long ago. They wouldn't be in this list, but nice big old vintage box of pillowcases. There were some like this at my thrift store not that long ago, but they wanted a lot of money for them, and so I passed on it. Okay. Give you an idea of just some of the prices that that these can give. So don't, like I keep wanting to reiterate this, don't just fall for the like, oh look, it's a vintage new old stock sheet. It might not be worth your time unless you've got a full set that you can put together and you can get it cheap enough. Okay. Next up, Lady Pepperell, another name to keep an eye out for. We already talked about, I think we talked about these. These are just safari animals. This was Miss Piggy and Kermit. Stripes. Some of those vintage striped ones can do pretty good. A lot of times those sheets also are not just the character sheets, but some of the other sheets are nostalgic for people too, right? So I come across sheets and I'm like, oh, we had those sheets when I was growing up, just like a, you know, Canon brand or something like that. Here's a queen sheet floral set, more rainbows, more florals, more Miss Piggy. Okay, Lady Pepperell. Calico, some packaged up. And so, you know, double check a lot of these older vintage packaged up ones, like I said, I've kind of skipped because they're plain. But sometimes the material content, like it's a really nice feel to that sheets, and people who were familiar with them back in the day like them and still want to use them. Okay, next brand to keep in mind, Laura Ashley. Okay, not just for sheets, but vintage Laura Ashley clothing and dresses. And it's very cottagecore, very country. They're using the word shabby chic. You can't use that really because that's trademarked. But let's look at, we've got some average price things, but let's see if the highest, it was a duvet cover and pillow shams. Nice older set, new in the package. So that's kind of where we're seeing the high prices. The nice vintage florals, either new in the package or larger sizes. Okay, Vera Neumann, again, not just for sheets, all sorts of like scarves and things like that, but she put her name on towels, her design on towels, on sheets and things like that. So I think, yeah, this is the highest. You just kind of get to know, like her signature is usually pretty big on the sheets on her goods. And so Burlington, I think the Vera sheets that I came across were also by Burlington. So I think maybe that's who she definitely collaborated with. But keep an eye out for that. And then someone made a tunic shirt out of a Vera Neumann shirt. So this is what I was talking about. Sometimes people want that look. Okay. So let's see. Look at that. I love that. There is another, I should have looked it up. Maybe I'll try to find a picture, but I can't remember if I sold it or if I just saw it in groups or whatever, but there's some older, a sheet set that's like a sunset with trees, or it's like tree silhouettes or something like that. I'll have to just dig through my stuff and see if that's something I've sold or if that's just something I have always seen. Okay, so you look for these nice, bright, striking patterns, and that's something you want to take a look at. And Fieldcrest. So we talked about Fieldcrest earlier, so I took out the word charisma. I subtracted the word charisma from our search. And you can see that these flower power style all over florals are popular. Okay, so we've got Waverly with Fieldcrest. And let's see, It's a Small World. Interesting. More flowers. This one's got strawberries. Let's see, Royal Velvet Fieldcrest Off-White. Oh, I don't know, bath sheets. Isn't that just towels? Okay, full flat sheets. Here we go. Here's just white, but with Halston. Okay, so that's designer and Fieldcrest together. Interesting. They didn't sell for very much. Okay, so Fieldcrest, yeah, you're gonna, wow, I wouldn't have auctioned those because they didn't get what they expected, I don't think. Fieldcrest, I think you're gonna be just looking for up here, you know, that might be what's worth looking at. Otherwise, your prices might be a little bit lower unless they're collaborated with somebody else. Okay, then I was just going to say, I think I had another couple brands, but just in the middle of it all, just if you ignore brands also, just look at like this set sold for $135, 4-piece. It's satin bed sheets with pillowcase, right? So the name brand isn't, like there's not that much there about the brand, but it's very vintage looking, like this harvest gold satin sheets, right? And so they did pretty well. Oh, and then I wanted to mention a vintage waterbed sheet. Just throwing that out there. Some of the prices, $50, $60 for waterbed sheets if you come across those in your searching. Just thought I'd mention it. And the other brand I wanted to talk about is Canon. So that first one, a Charisma by Fieldcrest, I don't know, they threw Canon in there too, so maybe Canon had something to do with it. But if we drop down from there, there's a set of Canon sheets that were used in the TV show Full House. So sometimes there is a TV show association with it. It says Full House and Home Alone. So I don't know if it was actually used in both. You can see it better here. It's kind of like Memphis style with this grid pattern on it, but people are always generally looking for that. And then Canon is known kind of for these retro all over flower prints that seem to be popular. I have seen pictures sometimes in those groups on Facebook, the vintage sheet groups. People even share their bedrooms. They share their bed, and they just use coordinating mismatched vintage sheets. And so in those groups, it's sometimes better to just sell a flat sheet or a fitted sheet or whatever, and they're doing kind of like this mix and match. It looks really interesting. It actually looks pretty cool. Okay, here's a blue version of that one set. Seashells did pretty good. Southwest style sheets. And then Canon Royal Family. Those seem to be doing pretty good. Oh, I am highest to lowest. Okay. Just double checking. So just giving you an idea, those strawberries are pretty popular as well. And that, see, now I gotta look up Strawberry Vine. Like, have I sold more sheets than I remember in my life? I gotta do more searching in my stuff. And so I'll just pop things up throughout the video. Okay, so let's go back and talk on camera and just finish up. Okay, we're finishing up. I knew there was something I forgot. Okay, so I'll just put comps up. This was a Wamsutta brand. Wamsutta, yeah, makes this particular sheet. And I was going to see, when I was first doing my research, the other ones were coming up in my search in Wamsutta, which I think is why I put it first, but it didn't come up just now as I was doing the video. But I will put up some comps right here on the screen now for this particular set. Now this was a pattern, I think it's known as kimono. Asian looking, Asian inspired. And I have sold this before. I'm thinking what I found was new old stock. I'm gonna, like I said, I'll find my comp. No, I can't. That's why. I think I sold it in a group. Because I remember when I started researching this video, I couldn't find my sales record for it, like on eBay or anything like that. And so I think I just sold it directly in one of those groups. So I'll show you what comps are like right now on eBay. Like I said, I'll have put those up. I was just seeing if I could find the little tag real quick. Anyway, the prices weren't as super high as what I remembered, but I just saw this hanging at the thrift store and I recognized it as in times past that people in those groups were really excited about this pattern. So I might just try the group again if I'm still in it and just see if anybody is looking for it. And I think it's at least a full, it could be, oh wait, here's my little taggy tag, and it's faded and you can't read anything on it. So I'm gonna have to measure it just like fabric. Okay, so let's see how that ends up doing. I'll share that. Like I said, I think I've had these listed before, but they're not super exciting. I'm gonna be interested to see how these do. They're king, and they're just a nice pretty pastel floral. We'll see how those do. I do have some character pillowcases, standard pillowcases. This is like Daffy Duck and Donald Duck. Sorry, Donald Duck and Mickey. This one I think I have listed. This is Royal Family by Canon. Again, maybe Ruby Lane is not the place for it. I think that's where I have it. So I might just try popping it over on eBay and seeing if I can move it quicker. It is full flat top sheet. Then I do have some Vera Neumann sheets that I haven't listed yet. Just got them at one of my small little local thrifts. Just kind of recognize the big, you know, her style of flowers and such. I only paid a few dollars for this set, so I have to open it up, make sure it's all good, no stains, such like that. I have this pillowcase. You know, it's not going to be big. It's not big money. I might even have it listed. Just hasn't sold yet. I think with peanuts, the bigger sheets and full sets are going to do better. This one I haven't listed yet. It's Fieldcrest, and the reason I did pick it up was because it was a dark floral. I thought that was unusual enough that I could, someone might want that. It's a fitted sheet, but it's just twin size. But I thought the dark floral might be something somebody's interested in. Again, I'll try the group. I remember one of the groups I was in Facebook was called like Happy Linens Facebook group. I'll put a link to it down below if you guys are interested in that. And then this set might do okay. It's kind of like we talked about, that flower power all over floral. It's Wamsutta, Luster Cal, and I think I did pay up for these just because I knew it was a better style, kind of a more sought after pattern. It's possible I got these on half off day, but who knows with me. I have a feeling I liked to do that, but I think that day I just was super excited about seeing that type of style floral that I thought I could do okay with it, especially if I put the whole thing together. And they just have a measurement 72 by 108, which I think is just like a full. Is that right? Okay, so I'm gonna go now. I think I will go crash into my bed. Hopefully I made sense through this whole thing. I just basically have sore throat and head cold, body's starting to hurt a little bit. So hopefully it's not anything more than just a summer cold. We will see. But anyway, hope you guys have a great weekend out there thrifting, reselling, listing, whatever it is that you're doing. Leave me a comment down below if you've sold bed sheets. Let me know what I missed. I know there's certain patterns or brands or things like that that are pretty specific that do really well, and maybe I overlook them. Just can't think of them at the moment. So hope you guys are doing great, and we will talk to you soon.